You're almost asleep when you feel it. Not a sound at first, a tiny, steady shake at the foot of the bed. Then the sound catches up, that wet, endless chewing. Your best friend is at it again, gnawing at their own paws like they're trying to solve a puzzle that never ends. You whisper, "Hey, stop." They pause for 5 seconds, and then it starts right back up. And you stare at the ceiling, exhausted, thinking about the sprays, the shampoos, the vet bills, and wondering what on earth you're still missing. If that sound is the reason you're watching this right now, I need you to do one thing first. Take a breath, because you are not a bad pet parent. You did everything you were told. You followed every piece of advice. You spent the money. You really tried. And still, that chewing comes back. Every single time. And somewhere along the way, you started to feel like you're failing your dog. You're not. But what if I told you the licking was never the real problem? What if the thing you've been fighting this whole time is only the smoke, and nobody ever showed you the fire? What if the reason it keeps coming back is that every single night, without knowing it, your dog has been feeding the exact thing that's making them itch? Stay with me, my friends, because in the next few minutes, that cycle can finally start to break. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Ben Carter, your neighborhood veterinarian. And before we go one step further, I want you to hear something. There is no guilt in my clinic, only education and love. This, the paw licking, the midnight chewing, the frustration, the feeling that nothing works, this is genuinely one of the most common things pet parents ask me about. Honestly, barely a week goes by without someone walking into my exam room, shoulders slumped, pulling out their phone to show me a video of their dog going to town on their feet at midnight. And the words are almost always exactly the same. Dr. Ben, we've tried everything, and it just keeps coming back. So if that's you, you are in exactly the right place, and you are in very good company. Here's where we're going together, and it's simple. First, I'm going to show you the one wrong assumption that keeps most of these cases stuck. The thing almost everyone gets told, that turns out to be only half the story. Then I'm going to give you the real root cause and a little thing you can do in the next 5 minutes to check for it yourself, right there on your couch. And finally, I'm going to walk you through my 2-step plan, something I call the Paw Reset Protocol. One part you can start tonight for fast relief, and one part that helps keep it from coming back. If that sounds good to you, do me one small favor and hit that subscribe button now, because this channel exists to help protect dogs exactly like yours, and I'd hate for you to miss the next one. You might even want to grab a notebook. Ready? Let's begin. Let's talk about the assumption, the one that keeps so many dogs stuck for years. When a dog licks their paws, almost everyone jumps straight to the same word: allergies. It's the grass, it's the pollen, it's the seasons changing. And here's the thing I really want you to hear because it matters. That is not a crazy idea. Allergies are real, and they matter enormously. Many of these dogs truly do have an allergic itch running underneath all of this. So if someone told you allergies, they weren't wrong. They just may not have told you the whole story. Because treating only the allergy, in a lot of these cases, is like putting a piece of black tape over the check engine light on your car. The annoying light goes away. You feel better for a little while. The dashboard looks calm. But the engine? The engine is still running hot underneath. Nothing under the hood actually changed. And a few weeks later, the light, the licking, comes flickering right back on. You weren't treating the wrong dog, my friend. You were treating the wrong problem. Now, I have to pause here because I know somebody in the comments is already typing. Let's talk about the medications, honestly and fairly. Medications like Apoquel or Cytopoint are genuinely life-changing for dogs with severe allergies. I mean that. I prescribe them. They can pull a truly suffering dog out of misery and give a whole family their nights back. And I would never, ever tell you to stop a medication your own veterinarian put your dog on. Please hear me clearly on this. If your vet prescribed something, keep taking it. And keep talking to your vet. These medications are genuinely helpful for so many dogs. But here's the quiet truth that doesn't always fit inside a 15-minute visit. They are brilliant at calming the itch signal. They manage the symptom beautifully. And for a lot of these paws, there is a second thing living down there that an itch pill was simply never designed to touch. That's the fire under the smoke. And that is exactly where we're headed next. So here's the part I actually want you to do with me, right now. If your dog is anywhere near you, I want you to pause this video, gently pick up one of their paws, and, I promise you this isn't a joke, I want you to smell it. Smell right down between the toes. Go ahead, I'll wait right here. Okay, does it smell a little musty? A little yeasty? A little bit like something baking that shouldn't be? A lot of pet parents describe it as smelling like corn chips, like Fritos, like slightly stale popcorn. There's even a nickname for it, Frito feet. And if you just caught that smell, my friend, you may have just found your fire. That corn chip smell is very often the signature of a yeast called Malassezia. Now, don't panic at the name. This yeast lives on every healthy dog, in small amounts, all the time. That is completely normal. But warm, damp, dark little places, like the skin folded between the toes, are absolute paradise for it. And when it starts to overgrow, it gets itchy. So your dog licks. And here is the cruel little trick that keeps this whole thing spinning in circles. That licking makes the paw warm and wet and damp, which is precisely the environment yeast loves most in the entire world. So the more they lick, the more the yeast throws a party. And the more the yeast parties, the itchier they get. So the more they lick. Round and round and round. That is the vicious cycle. That is why it keeps coming back no matter what you spray on top of it. I see this story in my exam room all the time. So picture it with me. Picture a sweet golden doodle, the kind of dog the whole family calls a goofball, always happy, a tail that spins like a helicopter. For 2 years, that family fought what everyone kept calling seasonal allergies. Every treatment helped for a week or two, and then the licking crept right back. Rusty, coppery stains soaked into the fur between his toes. That reddish-brown color, by the way, is a classic clue, because it's the stain that saliva leaves behind. And when the focus finally shifted from chasing only the allergy to actually looking at what was growing on that skin, there it was. Yeast, overgrown, thriving in those damp little spaces between the toes. Once that family started managing the yeast and the moisture and changing what was feeding it, that goofy dog slept through the night for the first time in years. That's not a magic story. That's just what tends to happen when you finally treat the right problem. Now, I want to be completely honest with you, because that's the deal on this channel. I can't promise it's yeast for every single dog watching this. In my clinical experience, and in what a lot of vets now believe, this yeast piece is one of the most overlooked drivers of the paw licking that just won't quit. Research suggests that both moisture and diet play a real role in keeping it going. So instead of guessing, let's simply do something about both of those things and see what happens. That's the whole plan. This is the Paw Reset Protocol, and it comes in 2 steps. Step 1 is the outside, what you do tonight for fast relief. Step 2 is the inside, the part that helps keep it gone for the long term. Let's start where you can feel a difference the fastest. So, step 1, tonight, the paw soak. Simple science first. Remember, yeast is basically a mold that loves a damp basement. So the fastest thing you can do is make that basement a little less welcoming. A gentle, slightly acidic soak can help shift the environment right on the surface of the skin, so the yeast finds it a bit harder to thrive there. Here's the real-world version most of us live. After a long walk, we wipe our own shoes on the mats and completely forget the dog's feet. But those paws have been padding through wet grass and puddles, trapping moisture down between the toes for hours. So here is the correct way to do a paw soak. Grab a small basin, or honestly, just use the bathtub. Fill it with warm water. Warm, not hot. Then add apple cider vinegar in a ratio of 1 part vinegar to 4 parts water. Gently lower your dog's paws in and let them soak for about 3 to 5 minutes. Then, and this next part matters even more than the soak itself, so please do not skip it. Dry those paws completely, especially between every single toe. A soft towel or even a few minutes of gentle patting until they are truly dry. Now, if apple cider vinegar feels like too much of a hassle, or you simply don't have any in the house tonight, here's your budget alternative. A plain warm water soak followed by that same thorough drying still does real work. Because honestly, my friends, the drying is the true hero here. The vinegar is a helper. Dryness is the win. And here's the vet warning. And please, this is the one caveat I need you to actually hear. That vinegar soak is for intact skin only. If your dog's paws are raw, cracked, bleeding, or have open, broken sores, do not use vinegar. It will sting terribly, and it can make everything worse. In that case, plain water only. And honestly, open sores are a sign it's time to call your vet, which we'll come back to. And no matter what, if at any point your dog flinches or pulls their foot away like something stings, stop right away. We are here to soothe them, never to hurt them. But this only fixes the outside. The soak is a reset button, not a lasting solution. And if we don't change what's feeding this yeast, it will be right back at the foot of your bed within weeks. So now we have to fix the inside, so it's far less likely to come back. Which brings us to a question you should be asking. If this yeast lives on every dog, what is it actually eating to grow so out of control? Step 2. The long-term fix. And this is where the lasting change really happens. Let's start with the food, because here's the simple science. Yeast has a favorite meal, and that meal is sugar. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking. But Dr. Ben, I don't feed my dog candy. Of course you don't. But here's the part nobody mentions. Many dry kibbles are built on a big base of starchy carbohydrates, and the body quietly breaks those starches down into, you guessed it, sugars. Now, I am not going to stand here and tell you that kibble is poison, because that simply isn't true, and it isn't fair to you. But a lot of standard dry food is, let's just say, not optimal for a dog who's fighting a yeast problem. It can keep the buffet open around the clock. So the correct way to think about this is simple. Lower the fuel. You do not have to become an organic dog food chef overnight. Just take an honest look at your dog's food and consider shifting towards something lower in starchy carbohydrates, or ask your vet about a diet that's better suited to a yeasty dog. And when you add a few fresh whole foods, some genuinely helpful gentle ones are a spoonful of plain, unsweetened pumpkin, a small handful of blueberries, or a few sardines packed in water. Now here are the numbers so you're never left guessing. Whenever you change a dog's food, do it slowly, over about 7 to 10 days, mixing in a little more of the new food and a little less of the old each day. And introduce only one new food at a time. I mean it, one. Because if you dump 5 new things into that bowl at once and your dog's stomach revolts, you will be scrubbing the carpet at 3 a.m. and you won't even know which one to blame. And here's your budget version, because none of this should require a fancy prescription bag to begin. Even just swapping out some of those high-carb, sugary treats for a few slices of cucumber or a couple of blueberries is a real, meaningful step in the right direction. Small changes count. But now the safety caveat, because this is exactly where dogs actually get hurt. So please tattoo this on your brain. If you reach for peanut butter as a topper, and who among us doesn't, you must check that label for xylitol, which is sometimes hidden under the name birch sugar. Xylitol is genuinely toxic to dogs, even in tiny amounts. Never use it. And never, ever add onion or garlic, including the onion and garlic hiding inside almost every store-bought broth on the shelf, because those are toxic to dogs too. So if you want to use bone broth, and it's lovely stuff, it has to be plain. No onion, no garlic. Read the label like your dog's life depends on it, because it does. So we're lowering the yeast's food supply, but there's one more inside job, and it answers that question from before. Because the reason a little bit of yeast normally stays a little bit of yeast is that a healthy population of good bacteria keeps it in check. So let's help rebuild that. The simple science here is a garden. Think of your dog's skin and gut like a garden bed. When the good bacteria are thriving, they naturally crowd out the weeds. Probiotics are simply how we reseed that garden and let the good guys take back over. So here's the correct way. Add a small spoonful of plain, unsweetened yogurt or kefir, the kind with live, active cultures. For a small dog, start with about half a teaspoon a day. For a big dog, you can work up to about a tablespoon. Start small and go slow. There's no rush and no prize for going fast. And the vet warning here? Some dogs are simply sensitive to dairy, so if you notice loose stools, ease right off. It's not for every dog. That yogurt also has to be plain. No added sugar, no fruit on the bottom, no sweeteners, and absolutely never anything containing xylitol. And if dairy just doesn't sit well with your dog at all, don't force it. Ask your vet about a good dog-specific probiotic supplement instead. That works beautifully too. Now, I promised you honesty at the start, so here comes the most important part of this entire video. This is the part where I tell you exactly where my advice stops and your own veterinarian's begins. Because home care is powerful, but it has limits, and knowing those limits is what keeps your dog safe. So please, call your vet, and soon, if you see any of these. Paws that are bleeding, badly swollen, or have open, oozing sores. A smell that's genuinely foul or rotten, rather than just that mild yeasty corn chip note. Your dog limping, crying out, or obsessively licking one single paw, and only that paw, because that can mean something is actually stuck in there, like a grass seed or a splinter, or even a cracked toenail. Sudden severe itching that erupts all over the body, or very simply, this. You've been doing everything in this video patiently for 2 to 3 weeks, and you're seeing no improvement at all. And here is why this genuinely matters. Your vet can do something that you and I simply cannot do through a screen. They can take a tiny sample from that skin and actually look at it under a microscope. That is how you know for certain whether you're dealing with yeast or bacteria or both at once, or something else entirely. And in the stubborn or severe cases, your dog may need a prescription medicated shampoo or an antifungal that only your vet can provide. And there is zero shame in that. None. Sometimes the single most loving thing you can do is simply pick up the phone and make the appointment. Home care and your veterinarian aren't rivals, my friends. They're teammates. And your dog needs both of them on the same side. Okay, let's pull this all together because you have earned the simple version. This is the Paw Reset Protocol. Step 1. Tonight, do the paw soak. 1 part apple cider vinegar to 4 parts warm water. 3 to 5 minutes on intact skin only. And then dry those paws completely between every single toe. Step 2. Make that thorough drying a daily ritual, especially after every walk. Because remember, moisture is the fuel that keeps the whole fire burning. Step 3. Starve the yeast from the inside. Gently lower the starchy carbs. Add a little probiotic like a spoon of plain yogurt. Introduce just one new food at a time. And keep xylitol, onion, and garlic far, far away from that bowl. And here is my one challenge to you, and I truly mean this from the bottom of my heart. You do not have to do all of this tomorrow. Please, don't even try. Pick just one thing from this video. Maybe tonight it's simply drying the paws after the evening walk. That's it. That's enough. Because one small thing, actually done tonight, beats a perfect plan you never quite get around to starting. Now, before you go, I want to say something to you directly. The fact that you watched this entire video, that you actually stood there and smelled your dog's paws in the middle of your day, that proves how much you love them. And trust me, they know it. They feel it. You are your dog's only advocate. Nobody else on this earth is going to lie awake at 2 a.m. listening for them the way you do. That's you. And that is everything. So picture this. A few weeks from now, it's 2 a.m. once more. The house is quiet. But this time, there's no chewing. There's no gnawing. There's just your best friend curled up at the foot of the bed, finally sleeping soundly through the whole night. That is what we're working toward together. That is the entire point of all of this. I read as many of your comments as I possibly can. So here's my question of the day, and I honestly want to know, what's your dog's name, and which one step are you going to try first? Drop it right down below. I truly love hearing from you. If this helped you today, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach and protect more dogs just like yours. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because we are on a real mission here. And if you know a friend whose dog struggles with this exact thing, please share this video with them. You might just change their dog's life. Give your dog a gentle scratch behind the ears for Dr. Ben. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and I'll see you in the next video.